watching Thrifty Kaniffy.
Hello everyone and welcome to Thrifty Kaniffy. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at a Rough Rider. This is an older design, but they're still selling this as new on Chicago Knife Works. Comes in this older sort of orange-yellow box with the Y spelling on it. You get the 25-year box with this little blurb about 25 years of Rough Rider. Back-to-back R logo there. On the back you have the website information, and then on the side here you've got China, the country of origin, and the cancer warning. And we're looking at model number RR1950. Alright, so let's take a look at the knife. We have a 3 5/8 inch length here. So very good size for a fifth pocket, nice and slender. Beautiful smooth bone design here. This is supposed to be the blue smooth bone, but it actually looks more teal green. Pretty common with this series of knives. It's just they all kind of turned out to be more of a teal green color, most of them. But you can see that it color matches pretty well on both sides. You've got the nickel silver bolsters here on either side. I really like the shape of those. They're nice rectangular shape and have a nice thread there. The pins are ground down nice and smoothly. They're all brass. And then you have a nickel silver shield here with the horseshoe. And it's got tested on one side and sharp on the other. And then you've got the stack R design there. Now it was the design that I really liked when it was on the tang stamp. And then they've kind of replicated that on the shield here. So this is an older design, but still being sold as new. You can still get these on Chicago Knife Works. Again, model number R1950, and they're $11.69 on the website. But yeah, again, you can get these still today. So a 4-blade design on the Congress, and all those blades are pretty thin. This is just a light use knife. I would never use this for anything very heavy duty at all. Very, very thin blade stock. But the side of the knife, again, nice and smooth. Pins are well ground down, and about the only thing you feel is kind of the thread and the bolster there. The back of it's got brass liners and the stainless steel springs, just 2 springs for the 4 blades. But very good build on it. I'm not really seeing any major gapping. You got a little minor gap here right along the bottom there, but that is about it. Everything else feels pretty smooth here. No recessed springs in the closed position, so that's good. But just a very beautiful style knife. I like the arc in the design of it, and this was very much a southern knife in the antebellum South, so pre-Civil War, like the 1830s, 1840s time period. And you had a southern gentleman sitting on the front porch steps whittling or cutting a plug of tobacco, or maybe fashioning a cigar for use. So I can just kind of see this being used a lot in the South, and this is where they were primarily sold. It was in the South. So really cool, kind of a southern vibe to it. Just one of those knives that was more popular and sold a lot better in the South than it did the North. So the northern manufacturers would almost exclusively bring these down to outlets to be sold down in the southern states. But you have a 4-blade design here. So the 2 main blades you got are sheep's foot, and they're identical. You can see that those 2 blades are the interior blades, and they're identical in shape. They're both just slightly a ram's foot. They get a little bit wider towards the tip. But you got mirror finish on them, match strike pulls. They both each have the RR tang stamp on them. And I would say the pull on each of these is pretty equal. Maybe this one is just a little bit stronger. So maybe a 5 on that one and a 4 on this one. Not the greatest snap to the closed position, but with the small blade, not a massive concern. I mean, it's not going to be used in such a fashion that you're going to need to put a ton of resistance on the blade to force yourself into a situation where it might close on you. There's a look at the blade edge on this one. Again, that match strike pull, that long pull. And this one's got, again, that RR tank stamp on it, as do all the blades. And if we look at the other side, we can see that blade edge is pretty consistent on both sides. So it gives you a nice edge. That feels pretty razor sharp. Very thin blade stock, so these are very slicey. These will slice really well. And you've got the designation there for your steel, 440 razor sharp steel. And then your model number here, RR1950, and the country of origin, China. Pretty good action on the close. I'd say better than the lockup. And let's take a look at the blade edge on the other side. Looks pretty consistent, maybe a little heavier than the other blade. Yeah, but overall I'd say it's pretty even, pretty straight. Feels pretty sharp. Again, really thin blade stock. So the pull on this one was probably about a 5, the other side maybe more of a 4. Yeah, I'd say that's a 4 and the other side is a 5. Alright, so let's look at the coping blade, the first secondary blade. And yeah, you can see just the nice angular section here on the blade to kind of let you know what style blade it is. It's a coping blade, very abrupt angle here at the end. There's a nice look at the blade edge, pretty consistent there. You got, again, that match strike pull, mirror finish, and again that RR tank stamp on there. So there's a look at that blade edge one more time, and then we'll compare that to the other side. Pretty consistent, I'd say. Again, that feels really sharp, good point on it. Just blank on this side of the tank. Really thin blade stock. So yeah, just a light use knife. Alright, so let's take a measure of the coping blade. Get about 1 3/4 inches length and a cutting edge. Shy of 1 1/2, but a little more than 1 1/4. We'll call that 1 3/8. Let's take a measure of the main blade. So the sheep's foot blade is right at 2 inches, a little over actually. So about 2 1/16. And then you've got a cutting edge of right about 1 3/4 inches. And that's going to be the same with both of those because they're identical in size. Okay, so the other secondary blade is a little pen blade. And again, the RR tank stamp, match strike pull, mirror finish. And see the blade edge on that one. Pretty nicely done. They didn't get too heavy with it. That looks good. Now if we compare the other side, maybe a little heavier on this one, particularly down here. So not quite as even as maybe the other two blades, but could have been a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. Good enough point on there. You could still do some piercing. I'd say the action on that one is pretty light as well. Again, probably another 4 on that. It does have good snap on the close though, but the lockup is pretty decent. Probably a little bit better than the coping blade. So yeah, it feels nice. And again, you can choke up on these little blades and they're not going to close on you. Good for a little detailed work. Again, you could probably whittle a little something with them. But yeah, all in all, just a kind of light use knife. More meant for the fifth pocket. The blade stock on these just isn't very thick, and with the 4 blades in there, they can't really be if you're going to have a knife this narrow, just the 2 springs. You know, overall width is even under 1/2 inch. It's not even somewhere between 3/8 and 1/2 inch at the widest portion of the handle. But overall, just really like the Congress. It's just got a really classy vibe. And then when you talk about a traditional knife, this seems to me to be very, very traditional in that sense. And for that reason, and being kind of a southern boy myself, I just have a soft spot for these knives. But you have, again, the model number RR1950. It's the blue smooth bone Congress from Rough Ryder. So that's going to do it for my review, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell to be made aware of videos when they drop. We'll see you next time. Take care.